Test, test, test. There we go. Waiting for stream. Okay, got it there. And got it there. That is off. Yeah, wow. Okay, so gonna skip the fancy intro. Somehow or another, the both the microphone and the audio, everything got disconnected from OBS. There you go. Who knows how that happened? I have no idea. I don't have a lot of redundancy built into this, but I also piss a lot of people off. So who knows? Any rate, I'll let people, anybody else who wants to jump in here anytime soon. There we go. There we go. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Waiting for the book to come back from the printers right now. So I'm hoping to have it back next week. But now that I think about it, it shipped the one book back really quickly. So it's going to take a couple more days than it did to get the actual proof back. But no, should have it next week. It takes them 6 days to do it. They've had it for a couple days, but then it's going to ship ground instead of like next to air. Good gravy. But I talked to Tori about TRO hearing. No, I got to talk to Tori about the hearing. I'll have to check that. I'll have to see what's going up with that. I've been Voter Bandit here. Hey, Voter Bandit. I am going to talk a bit about the Voter Bandit tonight. In my first book. Victim of the Swamp: How the Deep State Destroyed the 40-Year-Old Private. I discuss the things, some of the things that I ran into during the 2004 election when I ran for supervisor of elections with no political affiliation. Excuse me. And here we go. This is my dumbass standing out in front of Fox News. As a matter of fact, oddly enough, 2004, October 2004, Patrick Berge points his television remote at the set in his living room, fast forwarding through a recent C-SPAN program as VCR tape speeds along VCR tape. Nice. The talking heads comically move their mouths and bob about their heads in fast motion. So, here we go. Berge shows tape. There's his opponent, Pasco election supervisor Kurt Browning, on television again, talking about elections in Florida. He was there. He was the media darling, and if I can pull this one up, literally, it calls him the media darling, I believe, right there. Patrick Berge alleges that employees. There it is. No, that other one I think was the media darling. But this one is a candidate. Foe's staff visits his website. And this was August 17th, 2004. Bridget Hall Grummett. I ran for supervisor of elections because I was just kind of like, I'm looking around and I'm an IT security guy, right? And hence me dressed up like the nerd that I am and was. I was working for Florida Heart and Vascular at the time. I stood out in front of Publix, collected about 2,312 petitions to get my name on the ballot. I ran with no political affiliation because I didn't think the person counting the votes should have a political affiliation. I go into that in the book too. I wrote this in 2017, but that gets into the Uday and Kusei factor. It's kind of interesting, right? So, but a lot of people, have been running around trying to figure out all this information about the voting machines, right? Oh my God, they've hacked the voting machines. I can't believe this happened. We need to get these rallies going. We need to have these big. We need to have these big. Investigations. And I'm like, okay, I get that. But look at the date on that, 2004. How back in 2002, as a cyber security specialist, even at the time, I was working at, again, Florida Heart and Vascular, and here we go. Actually, I was working at Florida Heart and Vascular, and uh, I was a network administrator there. Before that, I worked for Thompson's Computer Warehouse. So I've been in computers for a long time. Self-taught though. And so, here I am. It's kind of also kind of funny because here I am. Tori's live on TG now. There we go. I received my book Tuesday. Woohoo. Too bad the military. So, anyway, I'm going to jump around here. I want to keep focused because I do want to show this, right? So, everybody's all concerned about the voting machine, all of these different things. Tori's working on her thing right there, right? Um, I don't have a time machine. But you go back 20 years and you can see that I was calling this out, trying to warn people, right? And then, fast forward 20 years and still nobody will listen to me. There was nobody else out there. I was a one person by myself 20 years ago saying touchscreen voting machines bad. Electronic, any connection to the internet bad. These things are corrupt. You have to have a paper ballot. I ran on the optical scanning systems. Kurt Browning ran on the touchscreen voting machines, right? I wanted to play this here real quick. Bear with me. I wanted to play this real quick because here, this is called No Power to Vote, right? And this is this was back 2004. I think Hurricane Charlie had gone through. It was in the Fort Myers, Naples area, and I had been trying to everything that I could to get Florida and specifically Pasco County not to waste a ton of money on these stupid touchscreen voting machines that you didn't have a paper ballot, that you did a recount by going uh, uh, print times two, right? Everything you're complaining about now, everything you're pissed off about now, I was complaining about 20 years ago. Check this out.
Mr. Browning is one of the leaders of our association who was the most vocal advocate of the touchscreen system and remains today the most vocal advocate for touchscreen voting in the state of Florida. And in my opinion is probably the primary representative from the Supervisor of Elections Association as why the Florida legislature did not accept the recommendations of the governor's select task force.
Okay, so that was Ion Sancho, right? He's like a hero to me, although he's a Democrat. And again, don't make this about politics. How fucking dare you try to make this about politics? I went through hell running with no political affiliation in 2004 because it was just seemed stupid that the person counting the votes, left or right, uh, had a political affiliation, right? And so many people gave me shit. Why do you think, Democrats largely supported me because they were pissed off because of 512 votes that the Supreme Court basically decided in an election in Florida, right, in 2000. They kind of felt shafted, and they had legitimate reason to feel shafted. Catherine Harris, the Secretary of State, was also like the president of the committee to reelect George Bush for president, and of course the governor was Jeb Bush, right? So, but it's all these flip flops. The same people doing this shit right now, the same people trying to distract you right now, are the same people that was doing this back then. It is, right? It is. they've just switched parties. Look at Kurt Browning did, right? 2002, Kurt Browning, 26 years election supervisor as a Democrat. Um, he switched mid stream, which was a horrible partisan thing to do, and switched from Democrat to Republican. And Republicans couldn't take him in quick enough. And I'm like, whoa, guys. Okay, he's just did this, right? You got him by the balls. The Democrats with this, they're not going to just put somebody in that seat. You can use the fact that he tried to shift over to you guys and put somebody in there that's like a freaking Republican. But no, they just brought him, nestled him into their bosom, and now skip forward ahead. Now he's the supervisor. He's the superintendent of schools, and our kids can't figure out what bathroom to use. Right? So elections to have consequences. So this. Let me go on with this. This is here we go. Hopefully it doesn't start over again here. Well, it's probably going to, but I can fix that. Let me do this here. Restart playback when source becomes active. No. Okay. So let me push that over.
Who was the most vocal advocate of the touchscreen system and remains today the most vocal advocate for touchscreen voting in the state of Florida. And in my opinion is probably the primary representative from the Supervisor of Elections Association as why the Florida legislature did not accept the recommendations of the governor's select.
Okay, so of the Governor's Select Task Force, and of course he's talking about Kurt Browning. I'm not going to switch it back over there, but he, of course, is talking about Kurt Browning right there. Coming up next, I know it sucks. It was like 2004. I had an overclocked AMD that I had built out by scratch and made like an 8-minute video. This is a crappy little video, but I did my best on a very limited budget. So the next part, this was like my argument here, right? So coming up, you're going to see that the governor, Jeb Bush, Republican governor, a lying piece of crap, puts together a nonpartisan election task force. What do you think they're doing right now? Ooh, election task force. Where the fuck have we heard that before? So watch this. I get it. The typing and shit sucks. I'll lower the volume down. But watch what it's saying.
Task force.
Honorable Jeb Bush. Don't know how honorable he is. So the recommendations made here result of careful deliberation, discussion. Most recommendations were unanimous. First alternative is known as MarkSense. Those are the optical scanners. Those are what I supported. Why don't I make this smaller? Yay. Right? Those are what I supported. Now, the DRE is what Browning supported. Holy Jesus, people. Are you kidding me? I can't make this shit up. Unbelievable. So people wanted paper ballots. I'm typing like quoting right out of the damn thing. So, SaveTheVote.com is no more. Nobody gave a shit. We'll replace touchscreen voting computers. See, look what I was doing with the optical scanning system. You don't even need to, and you can even lock those down tight as shit. right? Could have bought 10,000 computers for what we spent on that stupid bullshit that Browning ended up freaking banning across the state, right? So listen to this. Here we go. So this is me in Naples.
The elections building didn't fare too well. On the voting machines.
Look at all those ES&S voting machines sitting there with no frickin' power.
Yes, and this voting machines here.
Yeah. Or if a terrorist armed with a fucking pellet gun shot out a few well-placed transformers, right? You can see, you know, uh, people don't find my attitude apparently on some of this, and it's not new. It's not recent. This goes back a couple decades, because I see this, bullshit. I'm allowed to say that because Trump said it. I see this bullshit, and I'm like, this makes no sense, right? Not only do I know that everybody wants these touchscreen, they want like paper ballots. They want something real, physical they can count back. I know this. Not only that, as a cyber guy, IT security guy, I know these things aren't safe. They can't be made safe. They're a huge vulnerability, and our entire democracy is at stake. Are you fucking kidding me? So I'm looking at this 20 years ago going, this has to be a joke. Alan Funt's going to jump out from candid camera and go, smile, you're on candid camera. But he never did. He never did. Instead, we got more Joe Bidens, we got more Lindsey Grahams, and we got more Kurt Brownings, and we got more corruption, right? What do we got here? Hi, unknown critic sucks. Sorry for the negative feedback. I don't care even about critics. They aren't even critics, most of them. Most of these people are paid contractor assholes, right? If you are a critic of mine, please explain how. I'm a verifiable DOD whistleblower. I'm not somebody trying to get fucking a bunch of clicks and shit. Obviously, I'm on record with this stuff, easily verifiable. So, what's your argument that a whistleblower shouldn't come forward when a taxpayer-funded social media psychological warfare application that he has knowledge of was made commercial and is being used to influence U.S. elections? I'm not supposed to come forward about that? Exactly what do you have your problem with, right? If you got a problem with me saying that, I'm like, okay, you're not real, right? You're probably a bot. You're probably fulfilling a deliverable, which is what I'm trying to expose here. So I don't. It's largely water off a duck's back. Sometimes when it's like something serious, you got that Jason Funes guy. And he's literally specifically targeting your CFO, your secretary, who apparently was pregnant with Enrique Tarrio's baby, so we don't know anything about it. Who the fuck knows what was going on with all that shit? But no, literally, he's targeting my CFO. Now he's gone after Brendan, and I have no idea why. But Brendan's actually putting him out now, trying to help him fundraise. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Are you kidding me? Help that piece of human garbage fundraise. Oh my God. Right? So, I have nothing to do with that. I unsubscribed from anything that I had to do with Brendan, just simply because anything that comes that's going to be coming out of Brendan's going to be compromised if that guy's anywhere around, right? So, any rate, I've been doing this a long time. I don't have a time machine, right? I've got evidence of me being here, right? So let me continue with this. This is pretty good, right? It's exactly what we're dealing with.
What do you do here?
I'm the assistant supervisor.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And we just tried to hold it together, actually.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we had poll workers classes trained
I liked her.
this week. We had
Imagine doing this
everything.
today.
Because we hold it really close to the election.
Yeah. Now, did it start on? Did you guys have? You guys had early voting, right? No.
That's supposed to have started on
Okay.
Monday,
Okay.
and we had no power because we usually do early voting on touch.
A hurricane, Charlie.
How long
had
have you
gone
had the
through.
touch screens?
Took out all the power.
2002.
Oh, okay. And what'd you have before that? Punch cards or?
No. We had
Bells.
paper ballots. No, the paper ballot. We had 11 machines
Okay.
up to 1992. 1992, we went on paper ballots.
You mean like optical scanning paper ballots?
Mark sense, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, those worked pretty good. Why didn't you guys
Right.
speak with those?
State decertified it.
That's Central.
They
At
just-
central count. We had central count.
Hell, go back to Central Count and bring the damn ballots over there. The audio cut out here. Give it a second. Go back to Central Count, right? And bring so that they all have to be brought back to the location. Have the U.S. Post Office, which are certified and authorized as the only organization that's authorized. Well, was until they added on FedEx, but don't add on those bastards. Go straight to U.S. Post Office. Make them actually earn their money, and bring those ballots from each of the precincts that night when they close to the central count unit, right? And when everybody leaves, have them dip their fucking finger in ink. Why not, right? And only do absentee voting if you're legitimately absentee. Those ballots, you throw those all those millions of ballots in there. Are you fucking kidding me? And you'll see at the end. You need to standardize this stuff. It's ridiculous. It's actually really easy. They could do this. Let me go in. It's probably going to be okay now. Maybe not. Hold on. Let me bring this back.
Okay. And what'd you have before that? Punch cards or?
No. We had
Bells.
paper ballots. No, the paper ballot. We had 11 machines
Okay.
up to 1992. 1992, we went on paper ballots.
You mean like optical scanning paper ballots?
Mark sense, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, those worked pretty good. Why didn't you guys
Right.
speak with those?
State decertified it.
They
At
just
central
blockchain,
count. We had
yeah.
central count.
Oh,
Everybody brought all their ballots in here,
okay.
and we counted them here.
Okay.
And they decertified
Okay.
central
Gotcha.
count.
You had to just do the scanners at each location in order for it to.
To go, and
Gotcha.
we weren't. We, well, Mrs. Anderson actually
Good afternoon.
understood from
It's like I said good afternoon and it cut out.
the disabilities people that
Mhm.
that we would be sued if we didn't go with the touch screens,
Yeah.
do this, do that. So she presented.
If it was done on a private network, if you were to take Gavin and Millie's Quicks device and add a CAC reader, let me see. Do I have? Yeah. Okay. Let me. Okay. Oh goodness, no, God. How's this for a CAC? Let me cover that number up. Yeah. That will get you into a system. Look, no, nothing on either side. I gotta send these. I still gotta send these. These got lost in my when I got shipped back, and I just recently found these. I gotta send them back. There we go. 8th Army. They replaced these with a different badge with these actually that are I don't want to have anything exposed that could be a problem. This is 8th Army. It's a hard CAC badge, right? So you take a CAC card like that, and you hook up to like a Quicks device, a device like that, right? And you authenticate to it, right? And that's the only way you get access to that network. And you control how people have access to this card. Now, granted, nothing is ever going to be entirely secure. But that's actually, I was an information assurance security officer with the Department of Defense for a decade. That's how we secured Nipper. That's how we secured Sipper, Centrix. Although we didn't use card for above unclass, because then you'd have to carry the cards around. That'd become a problem. Is blockchain and paper ballots a good idea? Okay, so blockchain and paper ballots are a good idea if you do them on a secure network, a private network, like I said, like Quicks, right? So literally, all you'd have to do is add a CAC reader to that. Don't think that might not happen one of these days, right? But whatever the network is, my original idea concept was to do it with a veterans-based nonprofit. Have a veterans-based nonprofit turn each of the like VFWs and such into micro data centers, redo them into cafes, and no CAC cards on Sipper. No, that becomes problematic. Anything that goes into that device is now classified, and CAC cards can read and write. So no, you can't do it. But on an unclassed system, it would be just fine. And for like a private network where you had not just to have that, but you had to know something. So you had something physical, you had to know something, you could even add a third bit to it. And so you could do it that way, right? That's how they should do the systems. We'll go on, right? I'll show you at the very end. I give a speech, a much younger pre-PFC Bergie, where I kind of throw my 2 cents into this. But this comes up as funny because they had to. They sent like 2,000 generators after a hurricane to rescue touchscreen voting machines. Again, these same systems that these people are now going, oh my god, I can't believe we're using these. Really? No shit.
Board of County Commissioners, and they said, fine, let's go for it.
Now, do you wonder if anybody thought that? What do you do if you don't have power? How long? How long are the batteries left on
the
those?
batteries on those, they're supposed to last 6 to 8 hours.
No, you got even 2002. Mm-hmm. So they're a couple years old. You think they're going to still last 6 to 8 hours, or?
Oh, they're recharged every time.
No, but I mean like your cell phone, right? When it gets a couple years old, it doesn't seem to last as long. The talk time doesn't last as long. You don't have tried it.
I know the answer to
Voting right now.
We're voting on paper.
Oh, okay. Well, luckily you got computers. Right?
Luckily they got all those touchscreen machines.
Otherwise, it was going to be a little hairy, but
Yeah.
we were going to have to do it.
Yeah. 2,000 batteries for Pasco County. Must be replaced every few years. Where are the fucking Democrats bitching about this now? Adding toxic waste to our environment.
Fan things on the fan. Oh, fan. I'm looking for like a fan. Here my hand and she's saying under fan. She's looking for the fan.
Do you happen to know what the replacement costs on one of those batteries are?
On the battery?
Yeah. I've been trying to find that out forever.
No.
No?
Duncan.
Actually replace
No
them
promotion
with,
for Duncan there.
D batteries. If
Yeah,
you
she
have
was
to
she was nice. They used to be nice.
we've not had to replace them.
Oh.
That was in there.
No, but I mean like the regular battery it comes with.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah. I
The
wonder how
one
much
that's all
those are.
wrapped together.
Yeah, you don't know how much those are? I'd love to find that out.
You can call ES and ask them.
They're hard to get a hold of.
Yeah, call ESNS
You
and
go through all
ask.
the little.
I
you go through all
tried
the little the features, feature,
Feature.
and then I got nowhere.
Beep, beep.
You wouldn't have a number I could get from you, would you? Oh, you're awesome.
Well, if you did the blockchain, do the blockchain on the virtual private network, right? So keep layering that security. Okay, so we must
After 2 pounds,
standardize.
would it be anybody's
Standardize.
first
Which
plan
one?
to run out and, we had a lot of problems in the 2000 election, so I think the best plan is to go out and spend as much money as we can on the equipment that has never been used before. Whose idea was that? You know, we look like idiots, so the best way to make us not look like idiots anymore is to complicate the process. I got a better idea. How about every county do something different?
Who was that handsome man with glasses there? Oh my God, right? Yeah. We've really screwed up before. Let's fix this by throwing a lot of money at it, get some flashy little buttons there, and then complicate the process as much as we can nationwide. Who thought that was the best plan? I hope it's so much. All these government positions are being filled by people who are not technically qualified. What's the technical qualification for Kurt Browning being the superintendent of schools after 26 years as election supervisor, a failed one at that? I mean, literally, he ran on his entire campaign on touchscreen voting machines and then turned around as Secretary of State and banned them statewide. You know, he should have called for an investigation into himself. You know, because the reason that they had, and I joke, right? But the reason they had all that stuff going on was because all of these, Catherine Harris and all these retired secretaries of state and election supervisors went to work for these voting machine companies, ES&S, as advisors. It's easy to Google, right? Google back then in 2004 in Florida. All right, it's in my book, right? It's easy enough to check. I wanted to, because we just played that, I wanted to read a little bit of this. Anybody mind if I read a little bit? Hopefully the audio's not going to come out. Let me bring that up. Put the scum out of business, right? Yay. So let me read this. This is from, again, Victim of the Swamp, How the Deep State Destroyed the 40-Year-Old Private. This is kind of like the rebuilt version of it. But they did. They did a good job on me, that's for sure. So I put this out in 2017. Here we go. There were really two, this is page 20 of Victim of the Swamp. There were really two main issues I ran on. They were best described as follows by Times writer Stephen Haggerty. Stephen Haggerty, issue number 1. Berge doesn't trust Pasco's new touchscreen voting machines. As a man who makes his living working with computers, Berge said the machines are nowhere near as safe and reliable as Browning insists. The lack of a paper trail troubles him. Unquote. It's sad, really, how our country is currently so mired down with investigations into the possibility Russia launched a cyber attack on our voting infrastructure. There is really no legitimate reason for it if our leadership were not so corrupt and did their jobs. Tens of millions of dollars were spent here in Florida for electronic voting machines by Jeb Bush. The system he chose went against the recommendations of the very select task force Jeb Bush created to determine the best, most secure solution, right? So why do a task force? And should we expect anything different? Should we expect anything different from the task force that Congress and those guys calling, Patrick Burns calling for right now? Should we expect anything different? Literally, you would think that almost unanimous with every one of these things, and they still voted against it. Why? Because these voting machine companies had a plan, and these politicians had a plan, and they weren't going to let any silly little, nonpartisan election integrity committee decide what the best route would be to go with voting machines. But I digress. So I continue. A more secure solution. A couple of years later, and Jeb is gone. But Floridians got stuck with the bill when touchscreen systems he chose were sent to recycling centers and shredded. Even more saddening is that Florida Secretary of State that ended up ordering the touchscreen voting machines shredded was my opponent, Kurt Browning. My opponent. My opponent that was advocating for touchscreen voting machines, the systems that were not recommended by the governor's select task force. It's just a game. It's just a game to these people. It's like a race to see who can destroy America's election integrity the fastest. Russia can't hold a candle to these folks. My IT security background allowed me to see right through it, and my patriot blood was boiling. Avi Rubin, Director of Information Security at Johns Hopkins University, had demonstrated numerous ways ES&S voting machines could be hacked without anyone ever knowing. Avi Rubin, he was the man, right? Back in 2004, and I told Tori this a couple days ago. I said, you guys want to, and like Patrick Byrne them, you got the cyber squad that they had and everything. I'm telling you what, you didn't need to get the Republicans on board with this. You needed to get the Independents and the Democrats on board with this. And if you would have went with somebody like Avi Rubin, who was very much in favor of fixing anything computer voting related, but yet very much respected by the Democrats. If Patrick Byrne would have went with somebody like Avi Rubin, I think he would have actually gotten a lot more support with that. But nobody ever listens to me with any of this stuff. After reading one of Avi's white papers, I found an additional vulnerability he hadn't even noticed. I emailed him with what I found, and he replied to confirm my findings. Right. So this guy was Johns Hopkins. He had put out a white paper on vulnerabilities. I don't remember exactly what it was, how that was, it was like almost 20 years ago. But I noticed the vulnerability in it, in something he had. It was with a boot. It was with something with a BIOS. And so I noticed that vulnerability. I put it out there, and he confirmed it. And I was like, cool, by email. I understood many of the vulnerabilities. I understood many of the vulnerabilities inherent with the voting machines, how actual voters felt, and what was needed to bring back the integrity to our election process. I felt Pasco was completely on the wrong track choosing touchscreen voting machines. For one, they don't leave a paper trail. So if you need to do a recount, it is performed by just hitting print twice. You look at the two separate printouts, and that's it. The problem with the system is it. Here we go. I'm sorry. The problem with this is the system had proven vulnerabilities in both the system code and in the hardware. No, I'm not going to take you into a long drawn out IT security lesson right now. Suffice to say, there are a number of ways you can get malicious code into voting machines to alter the outcome of an election. Ask Iran if they thought there was any way someone could get malicious code into their air-gapped, quote-unquote, nuclear power plant, meaning it had no physical connection to the internet. When you alter an election by altering the inside of a touchscreen voting machine, hitting print twice is not going to get you any different results. A paper trail, like what you have when you use MarkSense optical scanning machine, automatically records the votes from the paper cards voters completed in the privacy of their booths. It does the same thing touchscreen voting machines do by allowing you to report the results almost immediately. But if someone were to have altered the computer code or hardware, you could go back and recount the paper ballots manually if tampering was suspected. You can even do like a 10%, and you'd be able to determine if there was any type of tampering with it, you wouldn't even have to count them all. Just like go to a random, like 10% of the precincts, and in each of those 10%, count 10% of the ballots. It wouldn't take long at all, and you'd be able to determine whether or not statistically any of the machines had been altered with. And then if you saw that was the case, well, you got the paper ballots. You know, you can't. I don't care what they say. People keep saying this You can't hack a fucking piece of paper, right? Uh, People keep saying, "Oh, I can't." No, you can't. My God, people, right? Yeah. But we did determine the other day that you can. We did determine the other day that a random proton from an exploding star, potentially even from the Pleiades system. I got an itch in my nose. I'm sorry. Potentially from the Pleiades system, could have flipped the a 0 bit to a 1 and changed all of the votes as well. So I digress. I was out there. Here we go. I was out there meeting and talking to the voters, and the paper trail was one of their biggest issues. It was right. It makes me sick how Kurt Browning and Jeb Bush totally ignored their own election task force recommendations. There are no words to describe how I felt that they would ignore the clear wishes of their constituents. This is something I believe Charlie Crist saw immediately when he became governor. He's my congressman now. So Charlie Crist, the Republican governor, taps Kurt Browning, the Democrat election supervisor for 20 years that had just switched to Republican, taps Browning as Secretary of State. Again, the guy counting the votes. Oh my God, people! And then Charlie Crist switches parties later on, back to a Democrat, or if he had switched, I don't know. He bounces around a lot, but he's back to being a Democrat now. I think he was an independent at one point, but he's a Democrat congressman over in Clearwater, right? So these people, it's the same people that have been doing this. They're doing it now. They've just either switched parties or remained in the party because they made a switch before. But it's the same freaking people. Okay, where was I here? It does same touchscreen by allowing. It does the same thing as touchscreen voting machine, but machines do by allowing you to report results almost immediately. But if someone were to have altered the computer code or hardware, you could go back and recount the paper ballots manually if tampering was suspected. I was out there meeting. Okay, that's where I am. Here we go. There we are. I believe Charlie. This is something I believe Charlie Crist saw immediately when he became governor. So Charlie Crist becomes governor, and he probably saw what the Republicans were doing, right? He probably saw what Jeb Bush was doing, and went in and said, "Hey, Browning, get rid of these bastards. This is wrong. We can't do that. This is how they're cheating." But then turns around, switches parties. And now he's perfectly fine, though. Charlie Crist is perfectly fine with what's going on. But Florida doesn't have touchscreen voting machines. And I think that I like to think that maybe some of the work, some of the efforts that I did walking around the communities, going to these speaking events and such, back in 2004 may have helped, may have contributed to the fact that Florida was not subject to the same complete bullshit that like Georgia was subject to. Oh my God, right? And they used those old systems that were proven hackable, and then they ran into all those problems. It was just a nightmare. I wish people would have listened to me. I wish people would listen to me now, but they don't. You guys do, and I'm not speaking against you. God bless y'all. Please understand that. This is me just like saying this because somebody listens to this for the first time. Why? Right? Why is this the first time you've ever been hearing about this? This guy's got a book out from 2017. It tells a pretty interesting story. I'm going to skip ahead here real quick. Just go to the next chapter, right? But well, to the next little thing. It's called Trust, the Uday and Kusei factor, right? Stephen Haggerty, issue number 2. He thinks the supervisor should be completely free of partisan concerns. Berge thinks Browning is not. He points to Browning's very public party switch from Democrat to Republican in 2002, unquote. So I'm pretty consistent, right? I'm pretty consistent. I'm not trying to be partisan with this. In fact, my job is made actually quite difficult by not being partisan, right? But no, here we are. I have kind of mixed feelings. Again, people ask me to help out with these things with the voting machines. I was with the election interference task force up in D.C. But I initially had rejected even going up there. Tori had invited me, and then Millie Gavin invited me up there. They said, come on up, we're up here with Patrick Byrne, and everything is going to be great, and you'll be able to get your information out. And I was like, bullshit, no, that's quite all right, I'm going to hard pass. I said, I'm going to stay here and try to build up the platform and try to get that going. And then they pushed me a little bit more, and I said, okay. So I drove up there, and after a couple of days being in that environment, the chaos there, that was just I'm sitting there watching all of these the military-industrial complex move around from room to room. I'm watching multi-million-dollar contracts being bid on by the military-industrial complex. People that President Trump's trying to shut down, and I'm watching these people being contracted out to somehow save Trump. And I'm just sitting there again, kind of like with the touchscreen voting machines going, this doesn't make sense. And if it doesn't make sense to me, it probably makes sense to nobody. And when you see things that don't make sense to you and probably doesn't make sense to anybody, the first thing I think of is IIA or an influence operation, right? Because when you peel back an influence operation, when you peel back all the lies, you would you would look at it and go, oh wow, that was obviously just bullshit, right? And that's what they're doing right here. So I wanted to just throw that out there tonight. I think it is important what these guys are doing. Absolutely. What Tori's doing right now, she's putting her ass on the line. There's a lot of risk in that. Coming up, she's got a meet in chambers with a judge that can go any number of different ways. And the reason that I'm concerned about that in one way is that they haven't taken out the command and control. They have not taken out the partnership yet between Atlantic Council and Twitter and General Jones. And by the time that they're going to do this, those guys will have already replaced these or rewritten these memorandums, replaced them with new people. We can't let that happen. We can't let that happen. Millie and Gavin were doing a thing last night. Millie did a video last night, and one of the things she was talking about, and that they showed was that Psaki chick, where she's like, oh well, yeah, the government, the White House is providing information on who to block and who not to block and such, and information to put out on Americans. Stop that. You have to stop that. It was illegal. It should still be illegal. If it's not illegal, it's because these corrupt bastards fucking changed the law in the middle of the night and made it legal. And we need to hold them accountable for that, because there's nothing good, nothing right, nothing that just doesn't violate everybody's. It just violates the appearance of impropriety. We must stop this, my friends. Right? She was showing that in the video last night. that relationship. This is that relationship. We break this apart. We expose that relationship, and we expose these memorandums of understanding. And then Tori goes into this Chambers, and it's like not a problem because she would have a voice. We would have a voice, but with as long as they control the narrative, I think it's a very high risk. And I said that to Patrick Byrne and others back in November. Do not go to these. Do not take these things to court. Don't try to fight this. Don't try to fight this if you haven't already. If you haven't already dealt with the command and control that they have, because if you do, you're gonna lose. Right? If they still have these things in place, they control the court of public opinion. And the court of public opinion is what controls the judges, the courts. They have assets all through mainstream media. I've already, Shadowgate exposed that. Why do you think Millie was arrested as she was uploading it? ClearForce is tied all through. They go to their website now, clearforce.com, right? They go all through that. Millie and Gavin showed that last night. Right? Just go to their website and pull it up. Mainstream media, CNN, Fox, The Hill, all of these organizations, liberal and Republican, left and right, all of these mainstream media news organizations are using ClearForce to help build predictive models to determine who gets a job and loses a job as a journalist. Are you fucking kidding me? I built the shadow net for those people. When I came forward and needed their help to back me and support me, when a GS employee, GS 13 or 14, wanted me to give him administrative access to a classified network that he did not have the permissions, rights, the documentation, or even the training to do. And when he threatened to fire me for not giving him access, my company was supposed to stand behind me because I was there as an information assurance security officer. But General Jones and his son, Jim Jones, threw me under the bus. They modified the contract that I was on for the last 5 years there in South Korea. And they removed only the requirements for my position and then modified it a couple days later, replacing me. No one's ever looked at that and said, oh, that seems completely normal, completely rational. That's exactly the way, the transparency that I would expect in our government. No one said, no one ever. But you would think you could get this looked into, but you can't, because what it would do and what they were worried about, I believe, is that me going forward and bringing this out would have exposed all of these other things that they were doing. That they were doing with their relationships, the partnerships they were putting together with Facebook, the building out of ClearForce to be the world's social credit score system. Look at their board of directors. Look at the people on their board of directors. Don't just take my word for it. And you don't have to, it's not a freaking conspiracy theory when you can go to their about page. When you can go to the actual application, the products, and it shows you exactly what they do. They monitor the employees' communications, both inside and outside the office in real time. They monitor an employee's social media in real time. Their financial, their criminal, all in real time. Build predictive analytics that determine whether or not that person loses a job they have or gets their next job. Right? So if this is the dystopic future that you want, having Obama's national security advisor and his CIA director determining the job that you get, then just keep playing along with these people. If you want that, you want that. Keep sending money to Jason Funes like Brendan O'Connell's putting out. Oh yeah, we got to help support the funding for Jason Funes, a lying piece of shit. Right? You can go to my YouTube. I play his voicemails there for your public consumption because he gave me permission to play them publicly. So I did. And if you can play Jason Funes' emails or his voicemails, and you want to send him money and think that's going to help a damn thing, then go right ahead. But God help our country. God help our country. We're being tested on this right now. We're being tested on common sense and humanity. And we're failing on every level, especially where the humanity comes. None of these people, humanity. What do you think God would be saying to us right now, watching how we betrayed, how all of these people of this supposedly Christian nation betrayed a woman, a journalist, who was speaking out, helping to bring attention to a DOD whistleblower who was trying to expose possibly one of the most treasonous crimes in the history of our nation. And she was arrested while uploading it on bullshit fabricated charges, and she was betrayed by all of her friends and her colleagues. Everyone. I don't know why. I'm trying to find out why. But God help our nation. God help our nation who believes that somehow or another God's gonna save a nation that wouldn't even save a mother as they're trying to take her kids away, or me, an Afghanistan veteran who is trying to do his job and is still trying to do his job. Tell me God's gonna save that nation. You and I pray to a completely different God if you do. Right? Just keep telling yourself that what you're doing is for the greater good. Keep telling yourself what you're doing is for the greater good. I bet Brandon O'Connell's saying, yep, it's for the greater good that we push Jason Funes. Is it for the greater good or his bank account? I'm not sure, because it makes no sense whatsoever to push a lying piece of shit that accused me of being a fucking pedophile, that attacked my CFO, that has tactically and seemingly coordinatedly attacked everybody around me. Why? I have no idea. He showed up on my doorstep. I'm a fucking DOD whistleblower. I want nothing to do with these pieces of shits. I don't want to even be here. I don't want to be doing this. I have zero desire for this. This should be... Sarah Carter should be doing this. Judge Janine Pirro should be doing this. I shouldn't be sitting here spewing this shit out. Dan Bongino should be doing this. All these people that say that they, that wear those flag pins and say that they're trying to save our nation should be the ones doing this. Not my ass. But they aren't. Because they're lying to you. They're betraying you. They're working for the same people that lied to you and betrayed to you in 2000, 2002, 2004. The same people that were profiting from these stupid touchscreen voting machines. They didn't say where the voting machines came from, but I wouldn't be half surprised if the voting machines that one cyber guy recently had a whole cyber team do a forensics on. I wouldn't be surprised if those were voting machines from Florida's, from when Browning banned the touchscreen, the DRE systems in Florida. I wouldn't be surprised if those were being used in those counties in Georgia. Right? So, here we go. Giving up. Just waiting for the rapture. Well, I don't believe that, people keep saying, oh yeah, God's going to protect us. Don't have to worry about a thing. We can just sit back because God's going to take care of all this. Really? Why? If I was God, I wouldn't. Not after I've seen what happened to Millie and me. We don't deserve this. We don't deserve this country. If we let a piece of paper, if we let some fucking ballot or a piece of paper take priority over a woman, a journalist, who gave up her entire life to try to get a story out for a DoD whistleblower? Social media psychological warfare applications, taxpayers funded, being used against them. My thing last night was with my thing last night was about Laura Loomer. Oh my God, are you serious? Millie Weaver was wearing Laura Loomer's shirt when she was arrested uploading Shadowgate. Laura Loomer never even came to Millie's help. Nobody did. She was completely abandoned by everybody, and that's not normal. That's not normal. That's tactical, coordinated. That's the stuff that we all know is happening. And so the same people that are forcing you to wear the masks, the same people that are forcing you to get the jabs, same people that are doing the biometrics, that want you to have the cards and all of those things, that's fucking Clear Force. That's these people. That's General Jones. That's who's going before Congress, requesting these things, pushing these things, lobbying these things through their giant DC lobby firms, where they run their databases overseas, right? This is who is leading us. So no, when it comes to the rapture, I don't believe that we as a nation, even though so many of the people in charge right now are running around saying that they're good Christian people, I know a half a dozen of those people running around saying they're good Christian people and know about Millie, know about Shadowgate, know about all these things, and don't do anything. They won't raise a damn finger. They won't say anything publicly. They won't. You know, there's just too many. So, I'm keeping pushing forward, and a lot of people don't like how I've come about doing this, or my techniques. If they don't like it, they can certainly come up with a better idea or help me out. But until then, I'm doing the best that I can. I hope you guys maybe learned a little bit tonight, right? This is who I am. This is something I've been standing up for and trying to get people to understand and pay attention to for a couple decades now. I got thrown under the bus, as you could see back then, right? I did. I stood out in front of these places all by myself. Well, my friend Joe Halanihi showed up there, and I had a megaphone as well, right? This is funny. This one, oh God, this is funny. If I can see this. This was where, okay, so Patrick Berry says his campaign website has received hundreds of hits from county-owned computers in recent months. He believes traffic is coming from the office of his opponent, Supervisor Elections Kurt Browning. A potential no-no because public employees cannot use their office equipment for campaign purposes. Oh my God, I was a pain in this guy's ass. This is hilarious. So, the hits come from a couple computers on the juniper.pasco.gov.com network. So, I mean, I traced them back. I knew exactly where they were coming from. And their network security sucked back at the time, although I knew the guy that did it. The server that handles the internet traffic for Browning's office, as well as the offices for tax collectors, Mike Olson, and property appraiser Mike Wells. Berge said a couple of the computer networks are downloading about 20 to 30 pages a day from his website, SaveTheVote.com. That's long gone. Within the past few months, he said, our computer has downloaded more than 2,000 pages. A quote from Berge. They hit my site more than Paris Hilton gets Googled. Berge, a nonpartisan candidate who works as a computer network administrator for a Tampa cardiology clinic. They Googled They Googled me more than Paris Hilton. And at the time, 2004, that was right when Paris Hilton had got caught with a sex tape. So she was like the most Googled. I guess it was funnier then than it was now. But no, here I am, right? So here I am again, 20 years later. I spent my time interestingly pioneering the actual the actual weapon that they use to, destroy the integrity of the election process after first running a campaign to try to save it. So I guess if you can't beat them, join them, right? I don't know. I don't know what I was trying to do. Lord knows how I got put on the path I did, right? Lord knows how my dumbass ended up running for office. That was all me. I didn't run with any expectation of winning, but I still ended up getting almost 18% of the vote, which for running with no political affiliation is actually freaking smoking. That year, the next closest person statewide that had ran with no political affiliation got like 5% of the vote. Right? These people, I learned so much when I ran with NPA. And I was on that ballot. I learned who Levon Miller was. I learned who the DCCC was. Well, her daughter ran the DCCC, and she ran the Republican Party here in Pasco, or the Democrat Party in Pasco County. Then you had the Republicans. Oh my God, they were so corrupt and fucked up. It's not even funny. Gus Bilirakis, his dad Mike Bilirakis, and they are still. I mean, they've been in office. Mike leaves after 30, 40 years. Then his son picks up. It's been there another decade. We're gonna expect something different. These people, these people are just destroying our country. They've infiltrated every aspect of it through rigged elections with these ridiculous bullshit touchscreen electronic voting machines and their control of social media, mainstream media, the industrial complexes, right? We can expose them. Go to my website, please, freedomstream.tv. Make a contribution to the Shadowgate Legal Defense Civil Fund, which is at the top of the page. Or go there and pick up a copy of this book. Signed helps me out a little bit more. The money all goes to try to. I got to get a new audio board here. The audio keeps going out, right? So many people have helped me get to where I am, and I'm so frustrated now. I should have thought that I would have been able to have gotten this out a year ago. I mean, my God, a woman was when I was in Austin, Texas, and Millie got arrested. I was like, it was terrible, right? And Gavin and her brother, 3 of them got arrested. It was terrible, but for like a second, I was like, well, this is terrible, but now for sure they can't bury this. Like Pirro did, like Sarah Carter did, like Dan Bongino did, like the frickin' Supreme Court Justice did, like the DC Court did, like everybody that has, like Bilirakis did, like like Charlie Crist did, like all, and those guys are recent with all of this stuff. There's no way, I said, that with Millie and her brother and Gavin get arrested as they're uploading Shadowgate, that this wasn't going to get out. I was wrong. Holy Jesus, was it? But how? How could I have not thought that? How could I have ever been wrong? How could a year later I've never been contacted by one fucking blue check? Not one. Well, I know why. Because I was right, but not only was I right, I didn't know even how right I was. I didn't know how absolutely abject corrupt the system was. Well, that's a beautiful rose, isn't it? I'm going to end this pretty quick. The other day it popped up with pineapples. I just recently, I bought a fucking shirt with pineapples on it at like, one of the cheap ass stores for like 10, $12. It was my little over shirts that I wear to conceal. And it had pineapples on it. I'm like, I get them with palm trees. And then I'm like out and a friend of mine goes, pineapples are for swingers, and I'm like, what? Are you fucking kidding me? How? So, yeah, that was pineapples the other day. I noticed, and I was like, oh Jesus, people are gonna think I'm a damn swinger. I can't keep track of these things. Who in their right mind's supposed to know something ridiculous like that? And God forbid, what about what do the palm trees mean? What do you do if you go to what do the Hawaiians do? Right? This is gonna be fucked up. So, at any rate, thank you guys very much for your time. Again, I hope you were able to learn a little bit of something. People are looking for hope and trust, right? No games here, right? I'm not perfect. Oh, God, I'm not perfect. But everything that I put out, I say what I mean, and I back behind it, right? Help me out with this. I could really use your help. Thank you very much. I'll have, hopefully by next week Friday, I'll have the first pallet in of books with Operation Shadowgate. They came out beautiful. It came out beautiful. I made more changes that I had planned on, but I still ordered a bulk quantity on the first order. Again, thank you very much, everyone. Hey, I might be able to do the partner thing now with. I should be right about at where I need to be to do the partner thing with Twitch, and that'll be really helpful, right? Anything helps, and if you guys can click on a little or not click on a 10 or 15-second commercial, maybe I can help pay some of the bills around here a little bit with that too. So I don't expect much. Again, I don't want to be doing this crap, right? This is somebody else's job. But just get me to a point where I can step back on this shit. Good night. Thank you very much. And God